IBM Think 2025. Infrastructure for AI Scale. LinuxONE Emperor 5 redefines secure AI ops. At Think 2025, IBM didn't just make noise about AI. It went straight to the foundation. The launch of the LinuxONE Emperor 5 marked a decisive shift in how IBM wants enterprise customers to think about AI infrastructure, not as a generic commodity, but as a secure, high-performance differentiator. Designed to deliver up to 450 billion AI inference operations per day, Emperor 5 fuses compute power, workload density, and integrated security in a package few rivals are positioned to match. The innovation stack includes Telum II, IBM's next-gen on-chip AI processor, and the Spyre accelerator, expected to be released as a PCIe card in late 2025. These aren't just performance boosters. They're IBM's response to a Gen AI world where inference is no longer something that happens once, but billions of times a day at the edge of regulated decisions. The real story, however, lies beneath the silicon. With confidential containers and quantum-safe encryption, IBM extends its leadership in confidential computing, allowing enterprises to process sensitive data without exposing it, even during runtime. What you get is not just another Linux server, but a hardened, future-proof infrastructure blueprint for AI at scale, reclaiming economic efficiency and regulatory confidence. And there's economics, too. IBM claims Emperor 5 can deliver up to 44% lower total cost of ownership over 5 years, compared to equivalent x86 infrastructure. For CIOs balancing CapEx fatigue with rising AI demands, that figure turns heads. Especially in regions with power constraints or carbon mandates, the energy efficiency argument isn't just compelling, it's becoming essential. According to Greyhound Research, LinuxONE Emperor 5 is not just a hardware announcement. It's a strategic infrastructure doctrine. In an AI landscape dominated by software abstraction and cloud buzzwords, IBM is taking the contrarian and correct view. You cannot scale responsible AI without rethinking the underlying compute fabric. This move marks a deliberate return to the intersection of hardware and trust. As AI becomes embedded into regulated decisioning in financial services, healthcare, utilities, and defense, the risks of opaque processing, model drift, and unsecured inference are no longer theoretical. Emperor 5 is IBM's answer to this enterprise moment, not a box to be sold, but a platform to anchor long-term AI operations. Design intent that aligns with enterprise realities. What stands out is how deeply intentional IBM has been. The inclusion of Telum II and Spyre isn't about beating GPUs in benchmarks. It's about giving enterprises inference engines tuned for real-world workloads, with lower power needs and deeper system introspection. In many ways, IBM is reimagining mainframe principles control, performance, resilience through a Linux-native, container-optimized lens. At Greyhound Research, we've consistently tracked this shift, beginning with our earlier analysis, the mainframe reborn, why IBM's Z17 platform isn't just a legacy play in an AI world. While most hyperscalers offer scale by sheer volume, IBM is offering granular control at scale. That is a very different promise, and one that will matter most to enterprises that can't afford AI hallucinations, outages, or rogue agents. Greyhound Pulse. AI inference governance is now core strategy. Per Greyhound CIO Pulse 2025, 72% of global 2,000 CIOs now rank secure AI inference as a board-level concern, especially as Gen AI deployments mature from experimentation to operationalization. The conversation is shifting from how fast can we build a model to how confidently can we run it, at scale, in production, under audit. Furthermore, 63% of CIOs say they are actively evaluating non-x86 architectures due to performance, energy, and data sovereignty pressures. IBM's timing with Emperor 5 couldn't be better. Unlike GPU-bound systems with bloated overheads and opaque observability, LinuxONE offers enterprises tight compute footprints, predictable latency, and policy-driven workload execution, all with built-in visibility. One insight that stands out: only 28% of enterprises currently use confidential computing, but 58% plan to adopt it within 18 months. The trigger? Rising regional regulations around AI explainability, data residency, and compliance by design architectures. IBM is not just addressing a niche concern. It's catching a tidal wave that's about to become standard practice. And let's not overlook sustainability. With 61% of CIOs saying AI workloads will materially increase their energy usage footprint by 2026, Emperor 5's promise of lower wattage per inference is more than a nice-to-have. It's a procurement differentiator, particularly in markets where green audits now influence technology approval processes. Greyhound Fieldnotes, built to meet audit demands, not demos. Greyhound Fieldnotes from Think 2025 confirm that infrastructure is no longer an afterthought in enterprise AI. It's the battleground for trust. In one Greyhound Fieldnote, a CIO from a UK headquartered banking major noted that performance specs no longer move the needle. What matters, they said, is performance with accountability, the ability to run inference at scale without introducing new risk vectors. Their team had deprioritized GPU-centric deployments due to poor visibility and inconsistent runtime controls. IBM's LinuxONE offering stood out because it didn't just promise speed, it demonstrated compliance alignment from start. Another Greyhound Fieldnote captured input from a senior executive at a Middle Eastern telecommunications firm. For them, national data localization laws had ruled out most off-the-shelf infrastructure. Emperor 5, with its confidential container capability and quantum-safe encryption, was one of the few options that met regulatory demands without compromising AI throughput. Even healthcare leaders from North America, traditionally among the most cloud-forward, expressed renewed interest in on-prem infrastructure, driven by audit failures and runtime transparency gaps. In a Greyhound Fieldnote, one healthcare CIO remarked that they weren't rejecting cloud per se, they were rejecting environments where inference became a black box under load. LinuxONE's visibility, predictability, and policy control offered a path to bring high-value inference workloads back inside the firewall. The most pointed perspective came through a Greyhound Fieldnote from a senior government strategist in Southeast Asia, who described the platform as AI infrastructure we can defend in court. That sentiment, echoed in multiple executive conversations, underlines a shift in how enterprise buyers now evaluate infrastructure investments. It's no longer enough for systems to scale. They must scale with evidence, accountability, and provability. That's what Emperor 5 brought to the table. This isn't hardware nostalgia, it's policy-ready infrastructure. This is a new chip drop or a nostalgia-fueled mainframe revival. It's a strategic reassertion of control in a market where AI infrastructure has become both a technical necessity and a political liability. With LinuxONE Emperor 5, IBM isn't chasing the AI arms race. It's offering a different path, one grounded in transparency, policy enforcement, and infrastructure that can survive an audit, not just a benchmark. At Greyhound Research, we believe this posture matters now more than ever, because for enterprise leaders grappling with AI accountability in real time, that distinction is no longer philosophical. It's operational, and in 2025, it might just be existential. The infrastructure conversation is no longer about speeds and feeds, it's about system integrity under scrutiny. Boards are no longer asking, can it scale? They're asking, can we prove it's scaled ethically, securely, and in line with policy? Emperor 5 is IBM's answer to that rephrased question. And that's what makes this launch matter. It's not about being first to market. It's about being first to meet the moment. A moment where infrastructure must do more than power inference. It must justify it. Where every byte processed must be defensible, every inference logged, and every deployment mapped against real-world regulation. For enterprises building AI-native operations under real constraints, legal, geographic, environmental, LinuxONE doesn't just tick boxes. It gives them a blueprint for sustainable, scalable, and auditable AI at the infrastructure layer. And in a world sprinting toward abstraction, IBM's grounding in hardware trust might be the most forward-looking move of all. Analyst in focus, Sanchit Gogia. Sanchit Gogia, or SVG as he is popularly known, is a globally recognized technology analyst, innovation strategist, digital consultant, and board advisor. SVG is the chief analyst, founder and CEO of Greyhound Research, a global, award-winning technology research, advisory, consulting, and education firm. Greyhound Research works closely with global organizations, their CXOs, and the board of directors on technology and digital transformation decisions. SVG is also the founder and CEO of the House of Greyhound, an eclectic venture focusing on interdisciplinary innovation. Copyright policy. All content contained on the Greyhound Research website is protected by copyright law and may not be reproduced, distributed, transmitted, displayed, published, or broadcast without the prior written permission of Greyhound Research or, in the case of third-party materials, the prior written consent of the copyright owner of that content. You may not alter, delete, obscure, or conceal any trademark, copyright, or other notice appearing in any Greyhound Research content. We request our readers not to copy Greyhound Research content and not republish or redistribute them, in whole or partially, via emails or republishing them in any media, including websites, newsletters, or intranets. We understand that you may want to share this content with others, so we've added tools under each content piece that allow you to share the content. If you have any questions, please get in touch with our community relations team at connect@thoffer.com.